Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to show you how to use content from your sources and to give your references in what I think is probably one of the simpler methods that exists for properly citing where our content comes from. So I've answered questions on this page for the report of the incident. I put in stuff about my name and all that stuff. None of that comes from sources, obviously. I just invented it all. And same thing for the questions here, the operation I was involved in. I invent all of that. What were you doing before the incident occurred? That's also up to me to invent. So all of these things I chose to not use anything from my sources. This sort of thing over here, I can imagine question number 3, you might get some content from your sources that you want to use. Describing the incident in detail also is an opportunity for you to put lots of stuff from your sources if you explain the process you were involved in or concept, stuff like that. But for me, my first section where I want to use content from my sources is here at number 5, where the acid, the sulfuric acid, has splashed onto my hands, and I ran to the eye wash station. And here I said to myself, okay, I've got an opportunity to use content from a source. Okay, so here I have a page with all of the content that I want to use from my sources. And I'm looking for something about when you splash into your eyes, what you're supposed to do. And I look down, splash sulfuric acid into your eyes. Oh, and here I see if a substance splashes into your eyes, rinse them for 5 minutes at an eye wash station. That's at 1:47 of a video. So what I do is I copy that information from my source, copy that, go back to my document, and right over there I'm going to insert this fact and give it the proper indentation. There we go. Ran to eye wash station, and I'm going to say that I rinsed my eyes for 5 minutes. So I got that idea from the source. Rinsed my eyes, 5 minutes. Okay, and I don't need to repeat this. And now here's the time, but I need to now indicate my source. So let's go back and copy our source. So our source is the crash course document video about lab techniques and safety. Copy that and bring it over to my notes and put that in a references used section. So down here, OV. Now this is the very first source I use in my notes, so I give it a number 1. Okay, like that, number 1. And now I have to put up here a little number 1. So I do a 1, and whoops, that's a big number 1 like that. I want to make it a little one, so I can just go up here and click this little button there, and there we go. So that indicates that this information comes from source number 1, and then the teacher, me, will now give you credit for using one piece of information from one of your sources. So that's me rinsing my eyes at the eye wash station. Good. How did you respond? Next thing I did was, well, I know that I went and took a shower. So I'm going to add the next piece of information. That's not about the eye wash station. So ran to take a shower. And that's still in our small format, so we're going to get rid of that, right? Back to normal. And what do I want to say? I'm going to say, well, let's go back to my source, see what information I have about that. So taking a shower, should remove clothes and shower for 20 minutes. And that's from my second source. I'll put the information there first. So copy that. Go back to my document. You can see there's a lot of back and forth over here. It's the way it's going to be when you do that. Should remove clothes. So ran to take a shower. And I'm going to say that instead of doing that for 20 minutes, I'll say I did that also for 5 minutes. So removed clothes, then take a shower, lasted 5 minutes. So that's 30 seconds. Lasted 5 minutes. And then my source tells me that it should be for 20 minutes. So I'm going to use that over here and say should have been 20 minutes. Now that's not the same source, it's a different source. So it's going to get number 2 because it's a different source. And I got to go now and copy my source. That's this one here. Copy that. Paste it into my document. And put a number 2 in front of it. There we go. Next piece of information. Describe any equipment. All that, I wasn't using any equipment, so there's nothing from my sources there. Next is the injuries. And I say that I got a 2nd degree burn on top of both of my hands. So let's add some details about that, about the burns. Get that from my sources. I'm going to say that, what do I want to say about that? Okay, this is all stuff about burns. Copy all of that into here. Then I'll reorganize it. So 2nd degree burns on both of my hands. I'll say there was. I'll say there was some necrosis of skin. I'm going to say I didn't get damaged, but I said I could have damaged my cornea. And nice little piece of information. Sometimes burns only appear hours later. So I could say that necrosis of skin, actually I could put it like this if I want, started hours later like that. And now I've got to put my sources for that information. No damage to my eyes. Oh, I had a section for that already, so I'll put that down here. No damage to my eyes. So now I got to put the sources for all of this. So where was that from? Go back to my content page. And that's again from source number, let's see now, that's source number 2 that I used, right? Yes, it is. Okay, so now I go back to my document, and I've already got that source over here, number 2. So I just got to put the number 2 again for each of these pieces of information that comes from that source. So I'm going to copy the little number 2 up here, and bring it down here, and bring it down here. Now the teacher is going to give me credit for 1, 2, 3, and 4 pieces of information from my sources. And could have damaged my cornea, that's also from there. So maybe I'll give me 5 pieces of information from my sources. And what else have I got that I still haven't used in my sources? I didn't use this information here, but how to treat a sulfuric acid burn. So ointment and bandages, so this information I can bring over there too. And where am I going to put that? I'll say the necrosis of the skin. I'm going to say, well, let's put that down here, get rid of that little thing there. Control V, was treated with silver sulfadiazine and ointment and bandages, and kept or was told keep arms raised as much as possible for 40 hours to decrease the swelling. So now I got to put the sources for that. Now this time this is information from a source I have not used yet. It's source number 3. So I copy that. Oh, copy is the 3rd source I use rather. So that goes down here. Put a number 3 in front of that. And I got to add my little number 3s over here. So I'll just copy that little number 2. Well, I'll show you the whole process again. So you put a number 3, and then you just shrink it by clicking on this again. And copy that over here as well. There you go. Altogether, I guess I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different pieces of information, 7 different pieces of information from my sources, and I've used 3 different sources. And what's interesting about this, what's different from what you might have encountered before, is the repetition of a number when you put it in your sources. What I like about this is that it's very organized, and the numbers don't really get in the way. When you use the system where you put the author's name at the end instead of a number, that can look kind of big, especially when the author's name is a long one. If you want to do that, you can instead of the numbers, in which case you'll put all of your authors' names down here for each document. This is the APA system. That would be the APA system. And you would have all of your authors, your sources in alphabetical order, in which case you say used APA citation sequence, okay? Or APA system, not citation sequence. This is the CSE citation sequence system that we used, and it's my favorite. I suggest that you try it. It's very organized, and more that's what we're seeing on the internet as well. All right, so that's it. Take your time, do it properly, and you'll have a nice result. And honestly, being organized like this will help you if you continue your studies at the university level especially. Have a good day, guys.